Sorry, I got cut off. Part 2, May 8th, 2018. Make sure you watch the first one first. Again, May 8th, 2018. And I'm going to talk to Michael Jackson a bit, but I'm sharing how this works. And so, I don't remember where I was at. Channeling Michael. Oh, I was talking about how his spirit energy is so much different than like Prince's, for example. Prince is ascended. He's like working the afterlife gig like nobody's business, but Michael is really not. Has been very shy about crossing over. He doesn't feel like he's not really sure about all that and moving more into spirit. So it's kind of like how there's a gradient scale of color, you know, like you can get I keep seeing a rainbow. They keep showing me a rainbow. So how sometimes a rainbow gets really bright and vivid and then it kind of fades, the color fades a little bit, like on a scale, you know, the colors, the gradient pattern, or the gradient light, you know what I'm saying? It fades, right? Or it can be really strong or whatever. Well, so that's how spirit is. It can be really strong in spirit. So being as full spirit would be like a bright rainbow, and being kind of spirit would be like a really faded rainbow. And so he's spirit, but he's on the lighter, faded, kind of harder to see part of the spectrum, not as vibrant. And so he's dead. He's in the afterlife, but he's not in the afterlife transcendent. He has not embraced the afterlife. And I don't think he has a problem with me saying that. He said, no, because there are others of us who still stay close to Earth, to the ties we have here, because there's a not unfinished business. That sounds like such a movie. Oh my gosh, that's so cliche. Oh, let's be a little more creative than that. It's not just unfinished business. It's kind of like a desire to help those that we left behind to heal. And that's my mission too. You know, that's what I do. That's the whole point. That's why I share this stuff. It's not just for like notoriety or anything like that. It's to help heal, right? So if you happen to be a friend of Michael Jackson's or his family or his children especially, I just know that this is shared respectfully. When I connect, it's very respectful, and it's not gossip or anything like that. And he shared with me about you all, the three of you, the children especially, before, and it makes me just, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. And the energy is like, I want to cry now. I can feel it. We're sharing this. He's sharing it. How much there's so much love for his kids, and how he feels really proud of who they're becoming, but he doesn't feel like he can take credit for it because he doesn't feel like he was a good dad or good role model. He's like, I wish love was enough, but it's not. You know, it's not enough for what kids need to be, you know, healthy people. That's what he's saying, healthy human beings. That's actually very mature for you to say that. Yes, I understand that. So anyway, we're not going to dig on dirt or anything. We're just going to talk. So Michael, the cemetery. So let's talk about the memorial service. Let's talk about that, because when I watched the video, it just felt so peaceful there, and the cemetery was very beautiful. And I know that for many, the memorial service is a really difficult time. There's a lot of emotion and such, and I would like to let you maybe get some of your feelings on that, or if you want to talk about that. I mean, is that okay to talk about? He says, well, yes, that's okay. He says, he's smiling, and he doesn't open his mouth a whole lot, and he's saying, he's got his black hat on, and it's like the crinkly little, it's almost like his hair is braided, but I think it's in a ponytail behind, and then there's crinkles. His hair's kind of right about here. You do look very fair too. Your skin definitely looks white. I'm just noticing. I want to share that. He's got a red shirt on. It looks like a red. It's got a pocket, but there's like a symbol on it, some kind of something on it. And he's got a white T-shirt underneath. And he says, "Do you want me to take off my hat? Is that more polite?" So he takes it off and he sets it to the side. I'm like, "No, it's really okay. You could just be who you are. It doesn't make any difference to me. I'm totally fine with that." He so the memorial, and he's like, yes, he's like, we can talk about that. I mean, that's what brought you into my space. That's what opened me up to you and the energy for you today. So what, is there anything, how do you feel about that? Like as someone who's not in human form watching your memorial service, I mean, I'm assuming you watched it. He says, yes, I was there. Yeah, I was there. And then he shows me an image of a very big, white, solid angel that almost looks like a statue that was right beside him. It looks like, feels like Archangel Michael, but I think it's also Archangel Azrael. And Azrael is the archangel that helps to bring spirits from earth to heaven. And he said, I didn't go. He said, I couldn't go. I couldn't go. I couldn't leave everything. And the way I left everything, he's saying, these are his words. He says, the way I left everything was really confusing. And I can hear his voice, that tone in his voice. You know how it has that tone to it? Kind of almost back up toward the nasal and then just the softness. And he says, I couldn't just leave everybody. He said, it was very confusing to me, all that happened. And it was very strange. He says, watching my body and, you know, people just pumping on it and just hitting my chest and shaking me. And it was all very disturbing, and it was difficult to watch. And I wasn't even in, it was like a nightmare, but I wasn't inside my body. And at that time, I didn't realize what had happened. I didn't recognize that I was dead. And I still find it painful to think about that. It feels like just a mistake, an awful mistake. And it's hard to leave that, to let that go. Right. Well, I didn't expect you to actually talk about your transition, but I can understand. And he said, it's very traumatic. He said, it was traumatic for me. You know, you're one of the few spirits that actually has come through to talk to me about their moment of death, about it being like that. But it's not uncommon for them to talk about being separate from their body and how it was like watching a movie or not, didn't feel real or anything. But it's unusual for them to talk about it as this really painful experience. And so I'm wondering do you think that is because you're not fully embracing the afterlife? I mean, quite frankly, because I feel like that's a choice that you have. And you are not fully making it or embracing it. And I want you to help me understand that. I mean, I want to know, do you understand that? And he's starting to talk about God. He's saying, oh, if God is God punishing or is God forgiving? Is God forgiveness? I don't know. That's what he says. I don't know. And it's interesting because there's actually an orange aura off to his right hand side, my left, and over his shoulder I can see the archangels there are angels near you. He says, yes, they come around often. And he's like, it's like they're trying to convince me. I'm like, to convince you, but you can't. They're not really trying to convince you or persuade you necessarily, but how does it feel? What do you mean? Say more about that. Well, that God is real. And that everyone is welcome. And that kingdom of God exists in a way that I don't understand. And I'm afraid. Oh my God. I know you're afraid. I can feel that. There's fear is what he says. There's fear. I say I'm afraid because I'm acknowledging your emotion because I can feel that. You're afraid. But he says fear. There's fear. Uncertainty, he says. I know that's an ego-minded thing. You know, uncertainty, we worry about death, and a lot of people fear death. Did you fear death? Were you afraid of death? And he says, yes. Very much, yes, very solid, very strong. He's like, yes. Why? What were you afraid of? And he kind of looks to the side and looks down like this, and he says, we're taught, you know, what they teach you about what happens when you die, where you go when you die, is that, you have to go to this gate and then you have to pass this test, or you have to be good enough or have done good in your life. And I don't feel that I've done that. And if I had more time, maybe I could. Through my children, maybe that would make me worthy of that. And I don't know if any of that's true. But that's how I feel. Like that's the imagery he shows me, and that's the energy that's coming through. It's like he believes it, like a little kid, like when they told you stories of a little kid, and then you go to the gates of heaven and there's a guy there and he says, okay, well, what have you done? And let's check your list. And if you haven't done anything good, then you need to go back, kind of a thing. And I can understand that. It's like a fear of rejection and being judged. Is that part of it? He says, judgment. Yes. That's part of what you dealt with in your human life, too. You dealt with a lot of it. He says a lot of criticism, so much hate. He says so much hate. There's so much hate. And he's looking out the window. There's so much hate. And it's hard not to be overcome by that. Especially, when you feel it inside yourself, you start to believe that you are bad. And when you try to tell people you're not bad, or you try to do things to help other people or to help people understand that you're good, it gets misunderstood and misinterpreted, and people make things out to be some horrible thing, and it's just not that way. It's just not. It was never my intention to hurt anybody or to, be this monster that I made out to be. That was never my plan. That was never part of my journey. There's a need, Michael, for a lot of forgiveness. I mean, do you mind if we pray for you? Can we pray for your spirit to be at peace? He said, I would really like some peace. I would really like peace. And it is so hard for me to have this discussion, because this is so against everything I've believed as a medium and as a healer and as a clear and as a soul myself. As such an advocate for the spirit, that we can transcend our human experiences, no matter what we've done, no matter what we haven't done, no matter who we've hurt, no matter what. We have that opportunity for forgiveness and grace, and that's what the concept of God, creator, source, universe is. It's not, and there's no God. There's not one single source. It's called source because it's like the sun, where there's all these rays, and it's made of multiple particles and fire and light and warmth and love and harmony and beauty and gentleness. And that's what I know. I know that. And so talking to you and having you feel so, you don't feel tortured to me. And it doesn't feel tragic to me. I don't want to label this as that, because I feel like you're making progress. Definitely from the other times that we've talked, to me, your spirit feels more, not so pale in the rainbow spectrum, but more a little closer to the middle. Like you're maybe at before you were like at an eighth of the rainbow spectrum, and now you're like maybe a third even. Like you feel like you've made progress. Have you made progress? He said, yes, when I was able to talk to my daughter. Okay. I feel such a bond with your daughter, with Paris. I feel very I don't want to say bond. That sounds kind of creepy. I'm a mom, so, I feel kids. But with her, that's a big piece, is making peace with her, because she was such an advocate for me. She was such a champion for me. He says she speaks up for me, and I'm sure that she's really, I know she's heartbroken and confused, but she's just this incredible woman who has so much to offer the world, and I don't want her to ever, she wastes some of her energy trying to defend me, and that's not needed. She doesn't have to do that, I mean, being my child has opened doors for all of my kids, but for her, she really loves me in a way that it's hard for her to let go of that and become more of her own. She's done some things that have tried to help her break free of that, but there is definitely my shadow. That's still part of her, and I don't want it to be the shadow. I want it to be just a confidence and a knowing that she's loved and she can do anything, and that's what I want for her, specifically for her, he says. So Paris, if this video ever got to you, please know there's so much respect and love here, and I can feel your spirit from what he's showing me. And then you have a lot of amazing things that you can do in this world. And so I wish you the best of luck. And if you ever want to contact me privately, you can certainly do that. And don't worry, everybody. I signed confidentiality agreements and stuff like that. No big deal. It's not for public. Sometimes the conversations and the healing is not for public consumption. It's not for show. It's for purpose, right? He says, He's like, that's why I talk to you. And it's not just because of Prince. And he leans back. He says, not just because of Prince. He's like, but your bodyguard over there is giving me the staring eyes, you know, the evil eye. And I'm like, really? Come on. He goes, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking with you. So he literally just got up and he walked over toward Prince. And Prince is kind of sitting on a stool type thing. And Michael kind of walked over him. He said, we're cool, right? And Prince kind of looks at him and goes, yeah, we cool for now. He says, you just keep behaving. And he's like, yeah, we cool for now, he says. So are we done, Michael? He said, yeah, we're done. Why don't you listen to some of my music? I'm like, I know, you send it to me all the time. I really do appreciate that. And you keep working on your healing journey so that you can heal that soul, so you can achieve some of that forgiveness and the grace, so that you can move up that rainbow spectrum, so that you will be on the other side fully and completely. You can still talk to us. You can still connect with your kids. You can still, you know, help others to heal. I mean, you can do that, but I understand that it takes time. And so, like, we grieve the loss of loved ones, or even famous people that we followed their career. I understand now through you, Michael, really, honestly, through you, that it is possible for spirit to grieve life as well, you know. And it's kind of like the connecting to the regrets, or having, feeling like it's too fast, it's done, it can't be, I'm not ready for this kind of a thing. And so that really you give me a tremendous amount of insight. So I just want to say thank you for that. And we will definitely talk again. So, all right, this is Bridget. You've been watching this video on Fairy Grasshopper at YouTube, I believe, unless I put it on a new channel, which I might. I've been researching that, so we'll have to see how this works. And yeah, interesting, isn't it? Yeah. If you have questions that you would like me to ask Michael, I'm sure we could do an interview type thing at some point. Right now, he's definitely doing a lot of healing, so I'm not gonna like dig around and stuff with him. But at some point in the future, if you have questions, you can, if I allow comments on this video, you can add them to the comments if you'd like. That would be fine. Sometimes I don't open the comments because I don't need that. I don't want to know everybody else's opinions about my channeling. Anyway, see, that criticism part, that's tricky. I don't like that either. All right, well, thank you for watching. I hope that it's helped you or inspired you or connected you today as well. Thanks for watching.